Welcome, football fans, to the debut of the Fantasy Q&A show, brought to you by the Pro Football Demon and Legit Football. This is a show that's going to be run by Rich and Kevin, but I'm here tonight just to get the party started. Rich, you and I did a similar show last year, and it was, at least for me, the favorite show I did all year. And you're muted. I knew it. I'm like, should I tell him he's muted before he actually starts speaking?
Damn it. I knew that was going to happen.
He's in. What's up?
You up, man. And then
I can hear myself, so it didn't sound like I was muted. Yes, it was a lot of fun, man. I had a ton of fun doing that. I'm glad we have the opportunity to do it again, and I'm glad that we get to introduce Kevin Phillip Fox to the Pro Football Demon universe, even though he's wearing a Buffalo Bills hat. I didn't know that was going to happen. Nobody told me about that.
Bit of a disgrace for the Demon universe, but I'm happy to try to earn back the points that I've already lost, Demon.
Oh, so, Kev, you've been begging me to do fantasy stuff basically since you joined Legit Football.
Literally.
Rich and I, as we mentioned, did this show last year. So are you excited to answer some viewer questions tonight?
It literally feels like Christmas morning, Brian. I've been waiting for so long to just chop it up with fantasy football about such intelligent football minds such as yourselves. So I think this is going to be a really fun time.
So here's how the show is going to go. It is literally just going to be, surprise, surprise, a fantasy Q&A. You guys put your questions in the chat. Start sit questions, trade advice questions, player ranking questions, whatever kind of questions you have that will help your lineups this week. Put them in the chat. We have our producer, Anthony Wayner, behind the scenes who will highlight the chat. Rich didn't want to say this, but I'm going to go ahead and say this. If you want to guarantee that your particular question gets answered as we get more and more viewers, then go over to the Pro Football Demon YouTube channel if you're not already on there and use the super chat feature. That's guaranteed to get your question answered, or just put it in the regular chat and Anthony will get them as they come to it. The last thing before we get started is we have a special contest. If you think that you can beat these guys in a daily fantasy tiers contest, then just go, and there's a link is in the description, but you just go to tinyurl.com/fantasyqa-tiers and join our weekly contest. Try to beat Rich and Kevin. Link in the description. It's really easy. If you guys have never done tiers before, you're going to see a tier. Pick one player from that tier, get a different tier. Super simple. It's only $5 to enter. Win cash and beat these two knuckleheads over here. All right. Rich, Kevin, are you guys ready to get this fantasy Q&A live
Born ready
started?
Let's go. Let's
get it.
All right, Anthony, go ahead and queue up the first question. I will, for this episode, be the moderator, I guess. I'm just going to read the question. I'll queue it up for you guys. And, of course, I'll give my 2 cents as well. Lev Brown says, yo, should I go with Purdy tonight or wait it out for Burrow / pick up Stafford if necessary? Reminder, the Bengals are playing on Monday night against the Rams. So Stafford, he's saying, is on the waiver wire. Makes sense. Burrow, calf injury, hasn't practiced yet. He says he's starting to feel better. Little bit of risk. We know the ceiling's the highest with Burrow. But what do you guys, we'll start with you, Rich. How are you feeling on that risk versus just going with Purdy against the Giants tonight?
I would just go with Purdy against the Giants tonight. I mean, Stafford has looked good, but I mean, we're only 2 weeks in. Everybody's telling me Jordan Love has the highest quarterback rating in the league right now. I mean,
QB2 in fantasy. Jordan Love, let's go.
Yeah.
I don't think that's sustainable, but Purdy is pretty much money in the bank. You know what you're getting with him. The chances of him having a bad game is slim. Probably going to be at least a 18 to 20 point guy. That's his floor, I think. So I'd go Purdy.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with Demon here. I'm a big believer in waiting, like especially when it comes to an injury, waiting it out. I want to see a good game from Burrow before he's back in my lineup. You got those week 1 and week 2 scars from somebody who you spent draft capital on to be in your lineup. I think you got to wait it out. And until you see a great game from Burrow, I don't think he should be in your lineup. And the risk with picking up Stafford, I actually don't hate that option. But if your opponent is savvy and sees that you're waiting on a quarterback, they might snipe him. That's a great strategy in fantasy. If people aren't doing that to you, they should be. And if you're not doing that to people, you should be. Always be playing defense on the waiver wire. That's another wrinkle in fantasy strategy.
Kevin is shrewd in fantasy, and I'm learning that the hard way this year.
Even knows already.
We do have an internal. Oh, my mic is falling down. See, technical difficulties on the debut show. We have an internal dynasty league that we just started that all of us are a part of. So I guess these guys have had some intense negotiations, to say the least.
Oh, yes.
Very much so.
Real quick, I'll throw my 2 cents on the Purdy question before we get to the next one. I'm completely in agreement with you guys. Last week was actually the first regular season start from Brock Purdy where he didn't have at least 2 touchdowns. And by the way, the only reason he didn't have 2 touchdowns is because he threw a touchdown to Deebo Samuel. They later ruled it a rushing touchdown because I guess it slightly went backwards. So money in the bank with Purdy, you can guarantee he's going to get at least 2 touchdowns, maybe more, against what has been a very bad Giants defense, allowing the most points of all defenses through 2 weeks. I know you like the Burrow shine, and I don't blame you, but start Purdy. All right, we've
100%.
got Ad Dolls. I have Justin Jefferson and Mike Evans as my wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. That's a good start right there. Lockett, Addison, or Amari Cooper at flex. Kev, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, so this is a great question because you're locked in at those first 2. I mean, they are absolute stallions in your lineup. So far this season, Evans, was a little iffy last year, but he's really proven to entirely right the ship. Lockett, Addison, and Cooper. I'm inclined to go with probably Lockett. I think he's the most consistent. I think he has the highest ceiling, and I think he might also have the highest floor. You might get one of those exciting 60-yard Addison touchdown bombs, but Amari Cooper, unfortunately, is tied to Deshaun Watson, and Deshaun Watson looks like hot garbage. So I'm thinking that I would probably roll with Lockett in this one. What do you guys think?
I'm with you on the Amari Cooper thing. He's not even an option for me here.
Right.
And between Lockett and Addison, because it's the Vikings offense and these 2 receivers are so phenomenal, I am actually leaning Addison because it assures you one of them is going to have a monster game.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one's probably not going to have a bad game. So I think total point-wise, you're going to do better if you start. For me, my opinion would be if you're starting both Vikings, you're just going to be able to add up the points better than if you're starting Lockett and, maybe he does have a bad game.
That's very brave of you. It is Kirk Cousins. The volume is there, but it's 2 receivers in the same offense. So I see your point of like you're almost like guaranteeing like a safer floor, but I do believe it limits your ceiling a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't hate it though. Because it's them.
It does limit your ceiling. It does.
For sure.
But, I'm a floor when it comes to fantasy football, and those 1 or 2 points will make or break you.
Yeah.
That floor is important to me sometimes.
Very much.
So I completely agree that Amari Cooper is out of the mix. I don't trust Deshaun Watson. I think we've seen that he's exactly the quarterback he was at the end of last season. Not to mention Cooper is also a little banged up. He is dealing with the groin injury. We thought he would be out last week. He ended up playing. Lockett going up against a Panthers secondary that could leave some points out there, but there are a lot of wide receivers there. Hey, Kirk Cousins and the Chargers and the Vikings going up against the Chargers defense, and they are just they just let Ryan Tannehill be like one of the top quarterbacks in the league. So I'm gonna have to agree, even though you already have Justin Jefferson. I think I kind of you couldn't go wrong going Lockett or Addison, but get a little spicy. Add the rookie in there.
I can respect it.
All right, John Morrell. I'm guessing he means Daniel Jones for the Thursday night. Jones or Purdy for the start tonight.
This is easy. Open and shut. It's Brock Purdy.
Yeah, Brock Purdy. I'm only trusting Daniel Jones if I absolutely have to.
Yeah. I mean, it's especially against that Niners defense. Jones obviously put up a lot of points last week, but that was the Cardinals. Guys, let's keep things in perspective. Same guy. John Morrell asks, should I trade Chase and Gainwell for Mostert and Waddle? So Jamar Chase and Gainwell for Raheem Mostert and Jalen Waddle. Rich, we'll start with you on that one because the Purdy one was too quick. Go ahead, Rich.
Open and shut.
I know. Look, the Bengals have started out slow the past couple of seasons. Joe Burrow's injury does concern me. It does seem like it's lingering, but it's Jamar Chase, and I mean, this guy has wide receiver 1 to 2 potential. You have Eagles coaches wearing Kenny Gainwell shirts. I know DeAndre Swift had a big game, but he's been an injury nightmare in fantasy in years past, and they love Kenny Gainwell. So even with Swift in the mix, I don't think Gainwell is just not going to see touches. Mostert is an injury waiting to happen. I'm sorry. And then you have Waddle, and you're going to have 2 Dolphins on your team. And if I can help it, I'm not taking any Dolphins. Unless I'm just kidding.
You're trying to trigger me here, Rich. I am resisting. I am purposely resisting because I was with you with the Rodgers injury. I still am.
Appreciate that. I'm never giving up Jamar Chase.
Well, let's let Kevin answer. Anthony
Really
gets a little
quick,
trigger happy with the question.
I don't. It doesn't have to be a ton, but Demon's right about you don't want two players from the same offense unless it's Addison and Jefferson, pretty much. And Mostert has the injury concerns. I think. Did I hear Waddle might miss this week?
Yeah,
With an
concussion
injury?
protocol still out this week, but a trade is a little bit different because he's asking for the season.
Season long, yeah, but I mean, you got to factor in this week, right? For the trade, that's a game missed right off the bat, and I think Chase is the crown jewel of the trade. I think eventually they'll be good. So I'd stick with the Chase and Gainwell side, but I don't hate the trade. Like, it's not awful. It's not like egregious or anything.
I'd want a better running back. If you're going
Yeah.
to trade Jamar Chase, get somebody better than Mostert. This is coming from a Dolphins fan. I mean, Waddle could be a nice slight downgrade at wide receiver if you get enough of an upgrade at running back. I do agree with you, Rich, that Gainwell Swift, I think, is that RB1 now. No Eagles running back has rushed for that many yards since LaShawn McCoy did it. So that tells you just how good of a game Swift had. E-League 727. Here's his team. He's got Josh Allen, Murray, Ridley, Garrett Wilson.
Murray.
Yeah, which Murray? Oh, Kyler Murray, IR.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So Kyler is his backup. I don't know if is this guy. And when you put in questions, guys, let us know. Is this 2QB? Is this super flex? Give us an idea of the type of roster. So we got Josh Allen, Kyler Murray on IR, Calvin Ridley, Garrett Wilson, Christian Watson, Gabe Davis, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, Saquon Barkley, Raheem Mostert, Javonte, Kendry Miller, Dallas Goedert, Jerry Jeudy. What do I do? I know I need running back now. Lost Chubb. Who do I go for? Who wants to take this one? That's a lot.
I'll grab it. It depends. I'd have to know what your waiver wire looks like. But if you're looking to make a trade, I mean, and again, the format. So, the data would help here, but you could probably trade a receiver for a running back or something. But if you have a guy like Roshan Johnson on the waiver wire who still might be out there, I would snatch him up because I think down the line, he's going to be getting most of the carries. He's a wonderful receiver. They're going to be playing from behind. He saw 7 targets in his first game. He's a guy I would look to add if you need a running back, and he might be on your waiver wire right now.
Yeah, and I think number of teams matters a lot too, because I am really not at all mad at this lineup even without Chubb.
Yeah.
Definitely sucks to lose Chubb, but it kind of seems like you got the horses to make it work. I mean, down Saquon hurts, but I mean, you can
running back. Like,
through.
how many running backs are you starting? Because Saquon is down probably 2 to 3 weeks. He mentioned that he's got Chubb. Mostert, Kendry Miller. We'll find out this week what we have in him. Javonte, correct, is fine.
You'd probably want to grab somebody. You definitely want a running back off the waiver wire. I mean, I'm guessing Jerome Ford already got taken. Tony Jones Jr. is interesting from New Orleans if you want a Kendry Miller handcuff. But Kamara might just ruin that whole backfield. I mean, in a good way, maybe.
Yeah, I wouldn't, especially if you already have Miller.
Kendry Miller is going to take over that backfield.
You think so? Demons?
I think so. He's a monster.
I'm excited. I can't wait to see him play this week, and with no snap shares, so that should be exciting.
All right, here we got a Josh Jacobs question in the chat. Last year's rushing champion SGSHR123 asked Josh Jacobs, the prime buy low candidate? Question mark.
Oh,
let's start with you.
It's very difficult because I feel like even buying low on Josh Jacobs, you're still going to be paying premium price. Yeah. And I feel like I'm going to go with the same rule I started with. This is risk aversion is really important. And we haven't seen that boom game. Like, we haven't seen the Jacobs of last year, and this holdout thing.
Not even close, by the way. It's not like he's been a little. He finished with negative rushing yards last game.
Hey, but it's tough. It's just a really tough situation. I would say no on that. I would say, maybe look more towards somebody like Chase. Maybe look more towards somebody like I'm thinking, well, not Quads right now because of the injury, but players like that who have just underperformed a little bit, not necessarily.
Cooper Kupp, you got 2 more weeks on IR.
What about Breece Hall could be a good. Well, Jonathan Taylor, yeah, that's another good one. But I think Breece Hall could be, because that offense is going to look terrible. And then if they do bring a quarterback in, if they trade for Kirk Cousins or something, all of a sudden Breece Hall is a stud again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it helps from a buy low perspective that Hall didn't. I mean, they only gave him the ball 4 times against Dallas, but that helps from a buy low candidate.
It does.
Thoughts on Josh Jacobs, Rich?
I'm not buying Josh Jacobs. That's really all I want to say about that. I mean, the touches he had last year, we've seen a history of that. Guys who get that many touches typically don't repeat that, and we always fall
he sat out the entire offseason. Clearly has lost a step, and I do not trust anything about that Raiders organization. Here's a fun fact for you guys before we move on to the next question. Do you know that Josh Jacobs actually got 11 yards over expected, or I think it was either that or after contact.
What?
So he did that and still finished with -2. Had he not got an additional 11 yards after contact, he would have finished with -13.
That is brutal.
So not only does he not look the same, but that Raiders offensive line, everything about it, I would stay away unless you can get it insanely low. But like Kevin said, after 2 weeks, rushing champion from last year, I doubt you're going to get a really, really, truly low price.
Yeah.
Jackson Romanek, Jay Cook, Ramondre Baby Cook, as Kevin likes to call him.
I love it.
Pittman or Evans, sit 1, play 3. So which 3 of these guys, Rich, we'll start with you on this one, should we start, and who do we sit out of these 4?
For me, it's easy. It's Pittman, Evans, and Cook. Ramondre against that Jets defense. I do not like the Patriots offense. They don't have any real game breakers on that offense. They're playing the Jets defense, who I think is good. I mean, last week they didn't look that good, but Pittman and Evans, I mean, Pittman's going to see 8 targets. Evans is money in the bank, and I love what I'm seeing from James Cook lately. So,
for real.
That's your answer.
I agree.
Kevin's
I think I agree.
No additional.
Yeah,
tactics.
it's really difficult to fathom starting anybody against the Jets. I mean, their defense is just so good. Zach Wilson, unfortunately, kind of offsets that a little bit with the turnovers and putting them in the wrong side of the 50. Guys are going to luck into touchdowns more often, starting on that side of the field. But I think with this, I think I want to see if Anthony Richardson is playing. Because him and Pittman,
I would assume he's not. He still has not practiced.
We're out on that. So I think Cook is locked in. I think Evans is locked in, and then the other 2, I'd probably go Pittman as well as Demon. But if AR is playing, I feel better about that than if he's not, because they have a lot of chemistry. He's been funneling targets to Pittman.
Couple things to consider. I'm completely with you guys. I think Cook and Evans are locked in. So we're really deciding between Ramondre and Pittman here. Yes, that whether it's Richardson or Gardner Minshew, which is a decent backup, obviously, to have in there, starter quality. Ramondre, yes, that's a tough Jets defense, but I have a feeling that Patriots Jets game is just going to be like a slog fest, like 13-10 kind of thing. That's the kind of game that tends to work in a running back's favor. But they've been giving Zeke a lot more carries than I thought they would. I tend to lean on when all things are equal on a wide receiver, especially because I think the Colts will be playing from behind going up against the Ravens. So I think we're all aligned here. Go with James Cook, Mike Evans, and Michael Pittman. Christian Reyes, Devontae Adams, or not this? Who would have thought this would be a question?
I know.
Devontae Adams or Nico Collins or Drake London?
Kevin, you want to take this?
Can't sit Devontae. I don't care. I mean, if he's out there, you got to play him. That's easy money, right? Like I love Devontae Adams, and him and Jimmy are showing good chemistry. He's had a good couple games. Really, really cooked the Bills for all intents and purposes. I love Nico Collins. I'm loving what I'm seeing out of Nico Collins. And Drake London is just, I mean, I think he might just be sort of a casualty of the Arthur Smith. We don't care about fantasy. I don't know if Drake London or Kyle Pitts are ever going to be who we thought they were going to be. As long as Desmond Ridder is the quarterback and Arthur Smith is the coach and they're running that sort of a scheme. Nico, the Texans could be playing from behind, and CJ Stroud's been absolutely on fire, especially when it comes to garbage time. That's really where he's making his hay. So I'm inclined to say Devontae and Nico, but I would be happy to hear your guys' thoughts as well. Drake London and plus matchup against Detroit helps.
So you got to pick one. This is or.
It's just one, then Devontae. Can't sit Devontae for anything. That's easy for me.
Definitely, it's not London, and because of the garbage time, and because I don't like what I see out of the Raiders' offense. I wouldn't say absolutely sit Devontae Adams for Nico Collins, but I would start Nico Collins. I just think I think he's going to see the targets, and it's so hard to say sit Devontae Adams.
It's a gut check, it's a glory play, really.
If you wanted to sit Devontae Adams, I wouldn't hate it. I tend to take risks sometimes, and starting Nico Collins, I believe, is a risk, but I would do it. I think you're gonna be rewarded if you do.
So I think you guys are overthinking this. I mean, I know Kev said Devontae. These are the kind of questions that, like, just take yourself back 2 weeks. This is still Devontae Adams versus Nico Collins. Now, I think Nico Collins is a talented wide receiver. It's not a knock on him. And you can't even really knock the quarterbacks because Stroud is only going to be playing in his third game. I'm not a Jimmy G fan. But Devontae Adams is still wide receiver 17 through 2 weeks. He's still getting near, 9 targets in his first game, 8. They're still throwing him the ball. And when it comes down to talent, if you're getting the same amount of opportunities and the quarterback play is at this stage anyway, maybe Stroud eventually becomes better, about equal, then I'm going to go with talent. I'm going to go with Davante Adams. I think both teams will be playing from behind. So all things equal, go with the talent. Davante Adams, still one of the most talented wide receivers in the entire NFL.
The matchup is probably the worst when it comes to Davante because Pittsburgh is pretty good. They've been shutting teams down, but it's still Davante. And that's ultimately, like Brian said,
that's what I mean. But I mean, who else are you going to go towards? I think that Steelers rush defense, we just talked about how bad Josh Jacobs has been. It's Davante Adams or bust in that offense. So sometimes even in a really bad offense, if you have a superstar, just bet on that guy and don't bet on anyone else.
Yeah, I like it.
Jacoby Myers, by the way, has been practicing. He's going to come back, which could let up a little bit. So they can't focus all the coverage towards Davante. So something to keep in mind.
That's exciting.
Malcolm Senegal, I have 2 questions for you guys. Look at this guy sneaking in 2 questions in one comment. That's smart. Man. That is very smart. I have 2 questions for you guys. Should I start Kittle over Laporta today? And which 3 should I start? AJ Brown, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Puka Nacua. So we're going to take these one at a time. So Rich, we'll start with you. George Kittle starting, going up against the Giants tonight on Thursday Night Football, or Sam Laporta. The Lions are going up against, I don't have it in front of me.
Atlanta.
The Falcons.
Yeah.
Correct.
I'm probably starting Kittle over Laporta. Yeah, I gotta go Kittle over Laporta. I mean, I don't think Laporta is a guy who has a pretty nice safe floor, but if I'm betting on one that could pop off and get you that 30-point game, it's definitely more so Kittle. Which 3 should I choose between AJ Brown, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Puka Nacua? The first 3: AJ Brown, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb. I know. If you want to start Puka over any of these guys, I guess it would be Jamar Chase because of the Joe Burrow factor. But Jamar Chase can have that 6-6 game, man. And if you put him on your bench, that's probably when it's going to happen. Puka does see the targets, though. So I don't think you can go wrong starting any of these guys. But Chase probably has the most volatile situation. I'll say that.
Yeah, I was kind of like, I mean, in the fantasy community today, that's like a demerit if you say anything bad about Puka Nacua. He's the darling of darlings. I can't remember. This is like Jeremy Lin. This is Puka sanity.
Well, he's setting records too. That this isn't just a guy who had a little bit of a flash. He literally has broken multiple records.
It's insane. It's his numbers are bonkers, and the metrics are there, and the eye test is there. So the only thing that I'll disagree with Demon on is just the Chase thing. I'm putting the same mindset on Chase as I am with Burrow until I see a good game. I'm not going to put him back in my lineup. I think the calf strain is a real problem. I think there's a chance we see Trevor Siemian this week. And I don't want Trevor Siemian targets when I could have Puka Nacua,
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, this is
tough.
Going back to the last question now, Puka's definitely getting the volume. I just can't. Jamar Chase is going to go off at some point.
And Trevor Siemian isn't a guy that he's a capable backup quarterback. He can come in and just say, I'm going to throw the ball to Jamar.
Just throw to Jamar 12 times, right? And if you're throwing to Puka 12 times and you're throwing to Jamar Chase 12 times, which of those guys is more likely to have just a monster game? Yeah. And the fact that you also have AJ Brown and CeeDee Lamb, I mean, you're stacked already, so you can afford a little, you don't have to go safe.
Yeah.
Right? Because, CeeDee Lamb's going to get your targets. I think AJ Brown, this will be a bounce back week for him. Start Chase, don't get cute, even if Burrow sits.
I'm getting cute myself.
Yeah, you're right. Well, that's the Buffalo Trill. I like to get cute.
What else am I gonna do?
All right, Joe Holland asks, I got Pacheco locked in for RB2 with Jamal Williams out and Kamara a week away. If Pacheco can't go, should I trust Roschon Johnson or go snag Tony Jones Jr. still on the wire, but Kendry is not?
That's very difficult.
All right, so it looks like he had Jamal Williams at RB2.
Yeah.
But he's going to be out multiple weeks. Kamara's still got one more week on his suspension. Still sticking with the Saints. Tony Jones Jr. scored, was it 1 or 2 touchdowns last week? Didn't have a lot of rushing efficiency, but he did get in the end zone twice.
Yep.
You know who did have rushing efficiency? It's Taysom Hill. in that Saints offense. So that
Ugly.
actually, like, you got Kendry coming back, and they're happy to give Taysom Hill. He had like almost 7 yards of carry. So I'm a little concerned that Tony Jones Jr.'s only upside is from the. I'm answering the question, but I didn't even turn it over to you guys. I felt inspired to take.
Oh, you're crushing it. You should. You're on a roll.
For me, I'm going to say it's Roshan Johnson if it's a PPR league.
Me too.
Because that's the safest floor. Yeah.
I just don't. That Bears offense is like.
Yeah.
What I don't know.
But sometimes when you have a guy like him that can catch and just do it all, he could be like a lock for like that 7 or 8 points. Tony Jones, I mean, he's the one that's most likely. He's more likely, I think, to give you a 2-point game.
Yes, his floor is absolutely about as low as it gets, because they could just end up going with Kendry in his first game and throwing in some Taysom there. I'm actually, especially PPR. I think if it's not PPR, I stick with Pacheco. But if it's PPR league, I'm going to go with Rich and go.
Well, he's saying if Pacheco can't go.
There you go.
Pacheco
yeah, because I think
he practiced today. I see. Okay.
Yeah, because I think Pacheco would probably be the obvious choice, right? Like, especially because Kansas City should rout the Bears. Like, that game should get ugly fast.
All right. Well, this makes the question even easier. Now, I'm glad you caught that. So Pacheco, he practiced today, so I'm assuming he's going to play against Chicago. Should I trust Roshan if he can't go, or no? Don't go snag Tony Jones. Go for
don't. I like Roshan because let's look at it like this, you guys. Chicago's just had a nightmare of a first 2 weeks of an NFL season in many ways. We don't have to get into it, but it's bad vibes in Chicago. So they're not letting Fields run the ball.
Like rumors of raids. I kind of want to get into it.
It's disgusting.
The DC just resigned after 2 weeks, and it's
not good. So I'm thinking like
the QB is throwing the entire coaching staff under the bus.
Oh, dude,
this is not your normal mess.
Should.
Horrendous.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Just horrendous dumpster fire vibes all over. But that makes me think change is coming. That makes me think that we will see more. Hopefully, Fields running the ball. That's the first thing I want to see. But maybe they'll get Roshan some more like drawn up looks. Maybe they'll get him some targets because they realize it's not working how we're doing it. I mean, it's. You guys have seen the footage of Fields when there's 2 open lanes on the right and left, and he runs in the middle of a cluttered pocket and gets.
Yeah. That was all over.
It is so. It is. I need Pepto-Bismol even talking about it.
Well, let's not make you more ill.
Yeah, I don't want to get sick.
Let's move on.
I think change is coming, is what I'm saying. I think Roshan's going to get an uptick.
Christian Arias, JJ, Justin Jefferson for Devontae Adams and Rashad White.
That's my nephew.
Hey, what up, Christian?
Oh yeah,
it's Arias. McFadden, come on, let's get it right.
What's up, Arias?
Script ahead of time. Arias, Christian Arias,
when he's not hitting me up on Instagram, he's hitting me up on my.
We love the dedication, Christian.
Are you in a league for? Is this an actual trade offer to you live? Because that would be cool.
Doing it.
No, I'm not in a league with him. No, but he sends it to me when he. All right, so JJ for Devonta and Rashad White. I am not trading Justin Jefferson for anything ever.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that anything, but I could give me a bunch of studs, like 3 or 4. I would trade. Nobody has. Everybody has a price.
It would have to be. It would have to be an insane.
I wouldn't trade him for all of King Midas's silver. Next question.
The silver doesn't help your fantasy lineup. That's a very strange comment. Tria Houston in a rock and a hard place. Got Amon-Ra listed as questionable. He has a toe injury. Hasn't practiced yet, so that is worth noting. Originally had Puka Nacua in my super flex spot, but should I start Purdy there and put Puka in for Amon-Ra? She has to make this decision soon because Thursday Night Football starting in about 45 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Trill.
I was just going to say, if it's super flex, for me, it's like easy. You got to go quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't like I like where your head's at, and I like that you're thinking differently. Like that's creative and outside the box. But talking to Demon's floor comment from earlier, there is no higher floor than a quarterback, and probably than Brock Purdy against the Giants on Thursday Night Football, honestly. So open and shut for me, quarterback.
Same. Yeah, it's not like it's Desmond Ridder, Zach Wilson.
Right. This is a guy we just mentioned earlier. Has his floor is 2 touchdowns a game, and he just only broke that last week because the refs. And I may or may not have lost a game, which is why I keep bringing it up because I would have won if that counted for a passing touchdown. They do have Purdy, but yes, I'm with these guys. Put Purdy in the super flex, move Puka in, and just play it safe with Amon-Ra. Super C&B Challengers. I like that name. Just got offered T. Higgins or Debo and Kenneth Walker for a CD in a PPR league. What do you think, Rich?
I am sticking with CD. I love CD Lamb. If you're not that high on T Higgins, I mean on the Jamar Chase because of the Cincinnati Bengals passing situation, I don't see how you can make this trade. But so Trill, I'm throwing that out there to you. I'm kind of answering the question for you.
No, yeah, it's a really interesting thing because I feel like we talked about buy low, right? But
Yeah.
that's kind of a buy high though. Getting rid of CD for Higgins, like Brian said, preseason I might have thought differently, but I kind of feel like at this point in time, CD's just proven to be too valuable.
Coming off the game he's coming off of against a defense that's formidable, supposed to be formidable, and I'm not that high on Kenneth Walker, to be honest.
Me neither.
Like, I don't see him as just a regular set it and forget it guy.
Yeah.
His rushing efficiency has actually been pretty bad. He's another guy that's been boosted in fantasy because of touchdowns.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, touchdowns just can't be relied on. They are very much an up and down stat. You rely on efficiency measures, yards per route run. In the case of running backs, yards per carry, yards after broken tackles, after contact, all of that doesn't look good for Walker. He's just been boosted because they give him the goal line touches. So I'm with you guys. Not enough value for me in a PPR league to give up CeeDee Lamb.
Even if it's Debo, because we didn't touch on Debo.
Oh, yeah,
same
thing. Yeah. Like, to me, Higgins actually has better value than Debo. So if it's not Higgins, it's not going to be Debo.
Yeah.
I'm Mr. Clean, 25, start 2 in PPR. So 2 of these 3 guys. Kev, we'll start with you. Alexander Madison with a new running back in town, Cam Akers, Isaiah Pacheco, or Najee Harris. I do not like this choice.
Can you delete your fantasy football app and maybe pick up like ping pong
just
or something?
do DFS to get a new lineup? This isn't join our DFS contest.
I mean, Pacheco. Oh, it's so disgusting, but I'd go Pacheco and Najee.
How's that look?
Nice, perfect.
Demon's got the right answer.
I love the prop.
Madison, you can't trust Madison, especially with the Cam Akers trade. I don't know how fast they're gonna insert him into the lineup, but it's so ugly for him right now. He's looking like a one of the biggest fantasy busts of the year. So I'd go Pacheco and Najee, and I would turn off my phone that day.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to look at it.
Rich, do you know how many rushing first downs, not touchdowns, rushing first downs the Minnesota Vikings have this season?
No, I don't.
2
Oh,
total, not 2 per game.
4
total. So that's Alexander Madison for you. Now, what TBD whether Cam Akers changes that? But Rich, are you aligned here with Kev?
I'm aligned. Yeah, Najee Harris looks like he's running in sand though.
Yeah,
and Jalen Warren I think he's going to take over that job at some point. But
yeah,
his receiving, he has receiving upside, I guess. Madison can't catch, apparently. So, yeah, I'm going Pacheco and Najee.
Yeah, this is like eating our vegetables. We don't want to make this choice, but you asked us. So, yeah, I'm with you guys, Pacheco and Najee over Madison. I do, too. I don't know why I say that. I eat a salad every day. Shaw Dolls again with a question. I have Derrick Henry / Kenneth Walker III at RB1, RB2. Najee Harris on my bench. Do we think Najee has we just mentioned him. Do we think he has a potential boom game against the Raiders, or start losing hope? The Raiders, not a good defense in any way, shape, or form. But do we think Najee could take advantage of that, or is he going to be what'd you say, stuck in sand?
Yeah, he looks like he's running in sand, and he also has Matt Canada calling the plays, which is another, So, and I just said I'm not, that high on Kenneth Walker, but I'm even less high on Najee Harris. So,
every week, Kev, we see. You mentioned Jalen Warren take a little bit more and a little bit more. And every time he looks better. So I think it's only a matter of time before that rotation gets swapped.
Yeah. Tough.
All right. Just, don't get cute. Keep him on your bench. Joe Holland, Marvin Mims Jr. or Kendrick Bourne. I like this a little bit deeper here for a PPR stash. We got our first stash question, Rich.
A PPR stash. Okay. Bourne will probably see more PPR volume, but Mims is the better receiver. And if there is an injury, and I'm going to just go off on a little bit of a rant here about the Denver situation. I think eventually Jarrett Stidham takes over that passing game sooner rather than later. And I think when he does, we're going to see that passing game come alive with Sean Payton. And something happens to one of those 2 receivers, Mims is going to slip right in there. And I think he's so talented. I think he has the way higher upside.
So Rich went from predicting the Broncos in the Super Bowl last year to saying that they're going to replace their multi-million dollar.
You can't prove I said that.
Oh yeah, actually I can. It's all on record. So we got the classic floor or ceiling play here, Kev.
Yeah, I'm inclined to go with Kendrick Bourne here. I think I agree with Rich that Mims is a better receiver, but who had this on their bingo card? Patriots passing attack coming to life this season. Mac Jones actually, looking pretty formidable, looking pretty decent. I like the Kendrick Bourne stash for Mr. Joey Crack in the chat. He's a long-time legit listener, so shout out to Joey Crack for making it over to the Q&A show. We appreciate you.
Let me add one more thing if I can. When you're stashing guys, I like to look at it as which guy has the more of the possibility of having league winning upside.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for me, that's absolutely Mims.
Definitely.
Yeah, I completely agree with Richard. If it's a stash, I'm stashing for ceiling. Like, what's the point of stashing floor? If you stash floor, you're stashing for a worst case scenario. Like, you want to plug in a guy because somebody gets injured, right? And here's the thing: Kendrick Bourne had a great week 1, but Devontae Parker came back last week, and he kind of looked like the wide receiver 1 for the Patriots against the Dolphins. Whereas Mims, man, he's got that upside, and he may not get a lot of volume, but he's the kind of guy that as he gets more comfortable in his first year playing for Denver, we know Russ likes the deep ball. He was throwing the heck out of it last week. That could be a bigger ceiling play. I'm with Rich. I would go with Marvin Mims for the stash.
Yeah, I think
tough to get that genie back in the bottle if it opens up. Sorry, go ahead.
Right. He's kind of like a break glass in case of emergency kind of start right now. Not something you want to start. So I agree with you guys from
if it's a stash, like if this is a this week, yes, Bourne. But if we're talking stash for the season, yeah, I'm going Mims. We got our first all caps question from Braxton Brown. Start Daniel Jones or Jared Goff full PPR? Kevin, we'll give you this one first.
Yeah, this is easy. Yeah,
this is an easy one. Yeah. So this is Daniel Jones. I know has upside. You guys all saw him last week, but he's playing the Niners.
I don't like it
this week. He doesn't have Saquon. Yeah, Jared Goff has actually been pretty efficient. He threw his first interception in like 380 something pass attempts. It may not be the sexy pick, but Goff is the much safer pick this week for Daniel Jones.
Yeah, 100%.
Keep it rolling.
Yep.
Anthony's happy to hear. Anytime we talk positive about a Detroit Lion.
Takedo,
our old friends.
The GOAT.
All right, Watson, Cousins, or Stafford?
I think it's got to be Cousins. I think Watson is, like I've said 100 times, hot garbage. Stafford is going up against Cincinnati, who has a pretty good defense. That game, if you had asked me prior to the season, I would have told you it would have been a shootout, but I don't really think that it's going to project as a shootout with Burrow kind of still getting his sea legs underneath him. And the coup de grace, the reason why this answer is open and shut is the Vikings are playing the Chargers, who have been hemorrhaging yards to quarterbacks.
Yep.
And Kirk has been lethal. He has been dialed in.
QB1.
Fantasy.
Kirk Cousins is QB1 in fantasy after 2 weeks. Let's not forget that, guys.
Take a victory lap.
About the juiciest matchup through 2 weeks that you can get.
Yeah, that's a good little quarterback room you got there. I think you could probably cut bait on Watson though. Personally, I would get him off my team, but Cousins is a great start.
I'm just surprised the Cato didn't say Crapford because he loves saying Crapford.
He's behaving for now.
Now he's trying to turn to him to help bail him out of fantasy games. I'm on to you, Takedo. It's Cousins though.
And Takedo is a well-known Raiders fan, so we've been crapping on the Raiders a lot. So I'm surprised Takedo hasn't.
Sorry,
Takedo. Back. He might be in the chat. We're not monitoring the chat. We're just waiting for the questions to pop up.
That's
so who knows what he's saying in the chat? All right, let's next question, Anthony. Amen Awias. I'm sure I butchered that. Apologies. Start Matt Breida or Kendry Miller. Interesting.
I'm starting Kendry Miller. And again, I talked about the genie, taking the genie out of the bottle. If Kendry Miller comes out and breaks off a big run, they're just going to keep feeding him.
Yeah.
And then I think he's a guy that could maybe take over the Saints backfield sooner rather than later. So Breida against this defense, we don't know what we're going to see in terms of that running back rotation. So this is pretty easy for me.
Same. Niners defense is just too good. And Breida is just too not good.
We know what we're getting in Breida. That's the thing. We at least Kendry Miller is like the mystery box.
New toy.
Right? He has the new toy, the new shiny toy.
Door number 2. Right?
And Rich, besides the defense that Kev mentioned, the running back rotation, everybody's like just assumes Breida's going to be put in there. But they've got, who is it? Gray, the rookie. They still have Brightwell. They're going to mix and match, and all of them are going to be hitting brick walls against this Niners defense. So
and they're going to have to pass.
Yes. So I would go, and then that bad Giants offensive line. It's just Daniel's just going to be running for his life. Go for Kendry Miller. I don't think either one will have good weeks, but you have a better chance of upside with Miller.
Kendry might.
Kendry might, yeah.
Kendry might.
Yeah, could. Packers have a pretty good defense. Sneaky good defense.
Stupid Taysom Hill comes out and starts pulling his nonsense.
That too.
Sorry, Taysom.
Jose Luis Estrada. Trade Nico Collins for Miles Sanders. My RB1 Rachaad White, RB2 Miles Sanders.
That's tough.
So he's looking to trade Sanders away and get Nico Collins in return. Well, who would your RB2 be then? That's what I would want to know,
Jose, because right now we're kind of at a deficit of information.
Yeah.
Right.
I read it as he's trading Nico Collins to bring in Miles Sanders, and then his RBs would be Rachaad White and Miles Sanders. That's how I read it, but I don't know if that's accurate.
Prior to the season, I was very in on Miles Sanders based upon what I was told by Carolina's coaching staff. However, I've been very let down by this alleged workhorse.
I told you I was not high on Sanders.
You did. That's one. It's 2 weeks, but I'm currently gonna let you take a victory lap on that one because. Oh, yeah.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah,
so RB2 is Najee Harris.
If it means getting Najee out of your lineup, go get Sanders. Obviously.
Yes, the thing with Sanders is he does have Chuba Hubbard there, who I believe is the better back, but because of that contract, they're going to kind of force feed him just because they gave him like so much money.
Yeah.
So, that's the only upside. I don't think Sanders is necessarily a great back. I'm not sold on that offense either. Sanders. But I do think he'll get touches, and I don't know. But I don't know that, after seeing what we're seeing from Nico Collins in garbage time, I'm not so sure that I would be that willing to sell him for a middling running back because you could probably find somebody with injuries happening the way they do on the waiver wire at some point. I would stock my bench with a bunch of these backup running backs in crazy situations and hope one of those guys hits because they could probably end up being better than Sanders.
I like that as well.
Yeah, I was actually thinking along those exact lines, Rich, that Nico Collins I think he's just coming into his own. I think this Texans offense is going to be playing from behind basically the entire season. He's shown that he can put up big numbers. Sanders is playing in a very pedestrian Panthers offense, who, by the way, they're going to be starting Andy Dalton this week. So I would keep Collins. I think he has a much better ceiling, and he might just have a better floor. I know we talked about Najee. I'm with these guys. Monitor the trade market, monitor waiver wire, see if you can get somebody better. Maybe even go ahead and trade for Jaylen Warren if somebody else has him.
Yeah. And I think Najee's a sell low, honestly. I don't care.
His value's not going to go up.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe
there's the name, right? Somebody might still like the name.
It's definitely possible.
Najee Harris for Roschon Johnson. I would do that.
I would totally do that.
Yeah.
100%.
AKA Bash. Hey, should I trade Connor for Waddle? So James Conner for Jalen Waddle. My main running backs are Rachaad White, Austin Eckler, and Josh Jacobs. My wide receivers, Michael Pittman, Deebo Samuel, and Amon Ra St. Brown.
So in a heartbeat. Go do it right now.
Oh,
right if you want to do it. Yeah.
100%. We just talked about Jacobs at the running back. I don't think last week's indication is White actually didn't run the ball well. He got a lot of passing game. Eckler's injured. So you need to really stack up on playmakers.
Yeah, easy money.
On John, Trevor Lawrence or Anthony Richardson if he plays. So caveat, I'm fairly certain he won't play, but let's answer the question as it is. Rich, I'll start with you on this one. Assuming Anthony Richardson comes back, he's a young, very, very well-built athletic guy, comes out of the concussion protocol in time to start against the Ravens. Do we go Trevor Lawrence or do we go Anthony Richardson?
Anthony Richardson was about to break fantasy last week if he didn't get hurt. So I am starting Anthony Richardson just every day over Trevor Lawrence.
Just FYI, Jags are playing the Texans, and I mentioned the Colts are playing the Ravens.
I know they have an enticing matchup. I'm just not that thrilled with what I'm seeing from Trevor Lawrence lately. You know what I mean? I'm not. And if anybody is going to have that game that's going to win your week, it's Anthony Richardson.
100% Demon. Yeah. T-Law is, I've said it a million times. He's the prince who was promised, and everybody said this was the year that he was going to ascend to MVP levels. And he hasn't quite done that. I don't think he's looked like his best self.
Yeah.
games.
Just-
He
was
looked-
Brian one of those people that
but I have Trevor Lawrence in another one of my dynasty leagues, and
be honest with the people, Brian. Take your
not started
fantasy.
He's not a bad hold. He's not a bad hold and see.
Oh yeah, don't sell Trevor Lawrence. If you remember how he finished last season.
Yeah.
But I'm actually agreeing with you guys. I actually think this week, if he played, I would start Anthony Richardson. The floor and the ceiling might just be higher for AR, assuming he can keep himself healthy. Keep yourself healthy, AR. You're a very exciting player to watch.
For real.
JJ Boone. Hey, should I go Bourne, Cook, Swift, or Moore at flex? So these are all choices for a single flex spot. Kendrick Bourne. James, is that James Cook or
It's gotta be James Cook? I'm thinking.
Yeah, because the other Cook shouldn't be mentioned that. So we got Kendrick Bourne, James Cook, DeAndre Swift, or DJ Moore at flex. Kev, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, so Commanders have been absolutely hemorrhaging yards to opponents' rushing attacks, and James Cook had what I would call a breakout game last week against the Raiders. I feel like this is a no-brainer. James Cook, I think he's a must-start this week. I really do.
I don't think you can sit DeAndre Swift after that week he had. That's the only caveat here. I agree with what you're saying. I love James Cook, but after that game Swift had, I think you have to roll with him.
Is Gainwell healthy? Is Gainwell coming back?
He is. He's practiced. He suited up for practice today. But here's the thing. I mentioned this earlier. He had the best running back performance by a Philadelphia Eagle since LaShawn freaking McCoy.
Yeah.
Right? That doesn't go unnoticed in an offense that has not been as dominant so far as they were last year. Now, from a matchup standpoint, I do like the Washington matchup for the Buffalo Bills. The Eagles have a tougher matchup with that Bucs defense, which has been pretty stout against the run. Does that change your mind at all, Rich?
Well, he's saying
it's Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
no, it's not Dalvin Cook.
That changes everything. Okay.
Start DeAndre. That's easy.
So bring that list back up. I think we're all
because
like
Moore. I'm guessing was DJ, and I don't think you should start a Bears pass catcher until we see more.
Kendrick Bourne was the first
until
one.
we see more.
You like that? And then
Kendrick Bourne was the first guy on the list.
No, sir.
I will say I'm with you. We need to see more out of Moore, not to bring that back up. But I think there's a decent chance that he could have a big game just because I think the Chiefs are going to get up by 21 points in the first quarter. And if they're smart, and they were smart enough to get him more targets last week, hopefully they continue to do that, but it's still too risky. I would go DeAndre Swift based on his performance from last week. Gorlock the Destroyer. All right, this is my new favorite user tag. Who should I start? Choose three. We got Terry McLaurin, T. Higgins, Gabe Davis, Devontae Smith, and Rashee Rice. I'm stacked at receiver and need to also know if I should trade someone. So we'll do one at a time. Rich, we'll start with you on this. We're choosing three of these wide receivers, and then we'll talk about whether he should trade one of these guys away.
Now, Devonta Smith has a little bit of an injury, right? Do you know anything about that?
As far as I know, it's not anything that's going to keep him out.
Okay. So it's definitely Smith for me. Probably Gabe Davis.
Dude, you haven't mentioned McLaurin yet. He's your third option there?
Yeah. Well,
McLaurin is perpetually underrated.
Yeah.
It's true.
No, he is. He is.
Tough matchup, though.
Oh, against the Bills? They just got shredded by Devontae Adams. I mean, he's there.
Well, that's Devontae Adams, though.
Well, it's definitely not Rashee Rice.
Terry McLaurin is top 10 talent as a wide receiver. He's just never had a quarterback to display that.
That's true. I'm starting Terry this week.
I don't think T. Higgins is going to repeat what he did last week.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going Terry McLaurin, Gabe Davis, and Devonta Smith.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm not a big Gabe Davis fan.
It's hard to be a big Gabe Davis fan. It's exhausting, actually. I agree with Rich.
I think I'm going to go. We always see Anthony's so trigger happy.
I'm
going to go McLaurin. I'm actually going to go Higgins. I'm not saying he's Gabe Davis. I just don't trust. Gabe Davis just had a good game, which means he's not going to have a good game this week. That's how I see it. And Devontae Freeman. And real quick, should he trade one of these receivers? Sorry, Devontae Smith.
He should.
I remember the Devontae Freeman days. Should he trade one of these wide receivers? Just a quick question. You said, Kevin, you said yes?
I would, 100%.
Rich?
Yeah, I would trade one.
Could trade Gabe Davis coming off a good game. That's what I would do.
Send some offers right now.
All right, moving. Now you can move on, Anthony. All right, T Kennedy _63. Should I start Puka over Olave this week? Man, the Puka love is out of control. Kevin, you can start with this one.
I think it's a no. I think it's a no. Yeah, I think Olave is just he's one of those top 10 talents, and you drafted him where you drafted him for a reason. And yes, Puka Mania is really fun. I like Puka Mania better than Puka Sanity.
Puka Mania.
Is Puka Mania a thing yet? This should be a thing.
We are making it a thing on the Fantasy Q&A show
let's make it a thing. Yeah, I like Puka Mania, but I think Olave is just. You guys saw that catch he had on Monday Night Football last week, right? I think he's unsittable.
Oh yeah,
he's such a dog. He is such a talented player.
Yeah, you already answered, Rich. You said it says Olave. Yeah, same. I grabbed Puka in a bunch of leagues, so I'm a big Puka fan. But Olave is a top 10 wide receiver, just plain and simple. And Puka isn't quite there yet. He's got the volume. Wow, I'm still talking, and Anthony's like, next question. I guess I'm going to answer, but yes, we all agree. Olave.
He puts it back.
Anthony. All right, go to the next one. Olave, we all agree. Christian Reyes, start James Cook or go with Joshua Kelly?
James Cook. Next. Anthony, put the next question up.
Yeah, this time
Joshua
you can
Kelly
just skip the next one. The question went away.
And there's the link for, okay.
We already got this. This is the non-all caps version of it. Braxton, thank you for repeating it. Jared Goff over Daniel Jones. Next question, Anthony. Andrew Fedorsik.
Here we go.
Gino, this is a good one.
We got some action.
Yeah.
Gino or Purdy, Rich? You start this one off.
Who does Seattle have?
Seahawks play
Carolina.
Panthers. Purdy playing the Giants tonight.
And DK's situation is...
I believe all of them are healthy.
They're all healthy. I'm going Gino. I think I'm going Gino.
I agree.
Yeah.
Upside.
Yeah.
Man, that
Purdy has a safe floor. Gino has a pretty safe floor too, though.
I thought he would do well in week 1, and he did.
That's true. He hurt us.
It's week 1.
You gotta
guys mulligans on week 1.
Yeah.
I would say, so Purdy doesn't have Ayuk. That's one less weapon. Yeah. They'll probably just run all over that with CMC.
He's still gonna have a good game, I think.
Let's go.
He's have
let's go,
220 and 2 kind of game.
Let's go, Gino. I don't love it. I'm fine if you go Purdy, but we'll say Gino.
Gino could be a
'cause you're kind of a 49ers homer, though. That's why.
I live 20 minutes from the stadium. I can't help it. All right, Chaos King Comics. Should I try to sell Swift high, Kevin?
I think you should. And when I say high, I mean high. Get RB2 price, low end RB1 price for DeAndre Swift, because there was a point in time when that was what people thought he was going to be. And then there was some fear. There was some DeAndre Swift fear. And last week, 175 yards on prime time. This is the neon flashing sign of look at how good DeAndre Swift is. Sell high. I'm talking go for a potential top 12 running back. Go for a package of a good running back and a good wide receiver. Don't sell medium or low. Make sure that the price is right. But yes, I think you should.
And Chaos King Comics on TikTok is phenomenal. I get a lot of my comic book recommendations from him. So follow him if you don't.
Nice shout out, Chaos King
And yes, sell Swift high. Guy's an injury waiting to happen, just like Raheem Mostert.
And crowded backfield. McFadden with the size tonight.
Look, once again, I think everybody has a price. So it depends on what high means to you. The running back landscape is the most desolate it's ever been. So if I get a guy like that, and this is not the first time he's done this, he's had these blow up games. So point is that is his ceiling, guys. So, and I have a feeling that Nick Sirianni is going to want to hey, this is the guy. Let's just, our offense has not been as good. I don't know. I just have a feeling Swift is going to see a lot of opportunities. I don't try to predict injuries. So sell high if you get an insane price, but otherwise,
that's what I mean. Yeah.
Let's do a quick temperature check. Would you guys trade Swift for James Cook right now?
I would.
Oh yeah, I would take James Cook. Yeah.
Would 100%. You guys trade Swift for an injured Quads right now? I would.
Straight up.
I'm
out of running back for another few weeks.
You'd have to have the infrastructure to take it on, but it could be a league-winning trade. Demon,
I don't know that anybody would sell Saquon for Swift.
Yeah,
even with
probably,
the injury.
but that's the sell high. But that's the game, right? You got to be looking for those kind of.
That's what gave me pause. Was I don't know that I would offer that trade because I don't know that anybody would accept that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you guys know I'll shoot some shots that are reckless. You've both gotten trades from me that are crazy. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, Anthony, moving on. Burbo NC. I have 2 flex spots. Which 2 of these should I start? Tutu Atwell, Josh Reynolds. This is a fun one. Jaden Reed. I love the deeper questions.
It is fun.
Yeah.
Kev, you can start this one off.
Yeah, I'm actually inclined to give it to Demon because I actually have no clue. Off the
Demon,
top
you
of my
can start
head.
this one off.
I gotta take a look.
I will start this one. I'm gonna go with Jaden Reed and Josh Reynolds because I think Jaden Reed, behind Christian Watson, if Christian Watson's starting, is the best receiver on Green Bay, and he might even be better than Christian Watson. I think Jaden Reed is phenomenal, and I'm starting Josh Reynolds. I mean, he's seeing volume with Amon-Ra there. If Amon-Ra isn't playing, he's going to see volume. So
the Saints have a sneaky good defense, and that's who Jaden Reed is up against. But I'm not necessarily afraid of them. I'm not like scared off that matchup. They're kind of like a middle of the pack defense. Tutu Atwell going up against the Bengals, Monday Night Football. Crapford is probably going to be airing it out. I'm just kidding. I just call back. I don't think that about him. He's a Hall of Famer. The Bengals have a pretty trash safety room after they got rid of Jesse Bates. So Tutu Atwell might be able to make some hay. Yeah, exactly. He might be able to make some hay down the field. Josh Reynolds is just remind me how's his first 2 weeks looking? Is he? I know he's been a popular name.
Very, very good, but this is his 7th NFL season. He's never finished better than wide receiver 65. People are freaking out about Josh Reynolds because it actually hasn't been a lot of volume. He has scored 3 touchdowns in 2 games, and that is what is boosting his fantasy stock right now.
It's a very interesting conversation. So I don't hate really any combination of 2 out of the 3. I think Demons 2 is good. I might, just to play devil's advocate or Demons advocate for this, I might go with Tutu and Jaden, but I don't think you can be wrong on this one.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I actually, of the 3, Tutu's the one I feel the most comfortable starting. When Cup's still out, it's been Puka getting 20 targets and Tutu getting like 7 or 8. Sneaky. And he has been not just a little gadget player. He's actually catching balls down the field, get some contested catches. Like, I've been really impressed with Tutu Atwell. I like Jaden Reed's talent. I'm with Rich here. I loved him coming out of Michigan State. Tough defense. And with Christian Watson coming back, there's a lot of targets there. But I would still pick him over Josh Reynolds. I'm just not. I think, Josh Reynolds is one of those guys that peaks and everybody freaks out, and we forget that he's been in the league for 7 years and it's never. We have a non-believer
amongst us. For me, it's like strike while the iron's hot, sort of thing. Like, I would roll with Josh Reynolds until he doesn't do it anymore. But I can't argue. You say that, and
the week after that happens, you're like, I can't believe I bought into it. Why did I keep riding it?
Right.
Amari 99. 2 questions for you.
Smart man.
Smart. Get him in. Have my RB2 is Justice Hill right now, but might not play. Put Joshua Kelly in or chance in Cam Akers. Our first Akers question. Also, Hopkins, Marquise Brown, or Shaheed. So we'll start with the running back questions first. Rich.
I don't think you can put Cam Akers in because unless you're okay with taking a 0 in that spot. I mean, so you're going with Josh Kelly there to be safe. Hopkins, Marquise Brown, or Shaheed. It's got to be, for me, it's got to be Hopkins. I don't love that passing game, but he's DeAndre freaking Hopkins. And that's really all I have to say about it. I love Rashid Shaheed, but not over DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, and I'll jump in here. This is my last one, fellas. I will be bouncing, but please go crazy. I'm going to try to keep listening if I can. I'm going to pull it up on YouTube. I got some husbandly duties I got to get to.
Thursday night football coming on. That's
yeah. Don't tell the missus. It's going to be on my phone in my pocket. But let's see. Justice Hill is, he's not going to play. So I don't like Kelly or Akers really. So if you can flex, if it's pick one out of all of them, I would probably go with Shaheed for like a flex. But fingers crossed that Hill can suit up for you because Kelly is, he had a terrible game last week. Burned a lot of people.
Yeah, but
a lot of faith.
A lot of people don't realize Justice Hill is actually the RB2. Like Gus Edwards is getting the RB1 carries.
Yeah.
So something to consider. Whereas Josh Kelly, Eckler's still not practicing. He's going to get all the carries for the Chargers against the bad Vikings.
Go with the volume play.
Yeah, I would go with it. We saw Kelly be great in week 1. He just wasn't good last week. So
I'm nauseating.
I'm with Rich. I go with Kelly. I love Shaheed's talent. Marquise Brown is automatically eliminated, but it's DeAndre Hopkins. So it's, let's not overthink things there.
All right, fellas. Phenomenal time. I'll see y'all soon. Crush it.
Take care, Trill.
Peace.
All right, Rich, what do you say? Like 5 more minutes?
Yeah.
We got leading up to Thursday Night Football. All right, Jade
Yep.
Dragon 91. Hey, Jade was one of our
Jade
regulars
Dragon.
last year for this show. Nice to see you again. Nico Collins, Swift, or Jerome Ford? Our first
Talk about
Ford
an
mention
embarrassment of riches right now.
at Flex.
Wow.
Quick matchups. We mentioned Houston is playing the Jaguars, so I think they're going to be playing from behind. Swift and the Eagles playing the Bucks, and the Browns are playing a surprisingly good, not surprisingly, but a very good rushing defense for the Titans. It's their pass defense that has not been good.
Yeah. So for me, it's I'm taking Jerome Ford out of this because we know what he did last week, but we don't know what they're going to do going forward. And they just brought in Kareem Hunt. I think he's washed, but you just don't know. And
I mentioned Titans have had one of the best run defenses in the NFL through 2 weeks.
And Pierre Strong is no slouch, by the way. That was a steal, picking him up. I think because of what he did last week, I think you have to go DeAndre Swift. I just think that it's a ceiling play, and if that's his ceiling, you're going to kick yourself if he does it again and he's sitting on your bench.
Yeah, you still have. I mean, what are the chances that C.J. Stroud throws for 300 plus yards again against a pretty good Jags D? Yeah, I'm with you.
Collins is the safer floor, but if
I wouldn't hate you going after Collins, but I think Swift is the one most likely could win your week.
Yeah. And where's Anthony?
Anthony, cue up the question. And if that's the last question, tell us it's the last question. Oh, there we go. Christian Reyes, Dak or Joe Burrow, if he's going to play this Monday? Thank you for the advice. You are very welcome. Rich, if Joe plays, do you go with him or do you roll with Dak Prescott? Cowboys playing the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm going with that. Even if they weren't playing the Cardinals, I was going with Dak.
Yeah, such a juicy matchup. Even if Burrow plays. And it's not even, he started slow last year, but he didn't have this injury. This injury, I actually do think is affecting his ability to plant, his ability to throw accurately. And it's got him, he doesn't have that mobility. So yeah, I'm with you 100%. Go for Dak. Don't think twice about it. Chris Behasa, 10-man ESPN. Oh, we got the platform mentioned here. PPR, Fields, Ramondre, Henry, Olave, Laporta, Pittman, benches Rashad White, Jonathan Taylor, Alvin Kamara. Got a couple of running backs that cannot be used at all this week. David Montgomery, another running back that cannot be used. Tutu, Moss. I guess that's
Josh Reynolds.
Reynolds, Cooper Kupp on IR. Wow. Yeah. He's got a lot of injuries and players that can't play.
And he got Kupp, Kamara, JT. Yeah, you have a good team.
Good long-term team.
Yeah.
But short-term, Fields hasn't been. They need to start running him to have any type.
I think he's going to take it in his own hands and just start running. He looks like he's fed up.
Ignore the coaching.
Yeah.
Ramondre, I'm surprised. We don't know how Bill O'Brien's not using him the way I thought he would. They're giving Zeke more opportunities than I thought they would. Derrick Henry is still Derrick Henry. He's actually has only averaging like 3.6 yards per carry. So I think we might finally be getting. You could see more Tajay Spears in that backfield. They're already utilizing him a lot. Sam Laporta is getting a ton of volume for a rookie tight end, so that's a great one. Pittman has been really good. Rashad White did well with the passing game. I don't know. I love
Rashad White.
He's not been good at running the ball. He's been good at catching the ball, but he's been very inefficient. I would try to make some. Well, you got Kupp coming off. Okay, yeah, all right. So I guess the fact that Kupp is coming off, Kamara's coming off, you're going to have a boost to this. So yeah, your team in 10-man, should be pretty good.
I think the guys he has to. I mean, Fields is a good. I mean, he'll get the floor. You know what I mean? He'll get on a bad week. He's getting 14 points. So that's not bad. And for your running backs, starting Ramondre and Henry, when you have guys like JT coming back, you have guys like Kamara coming back, you have Montgomery there who's hurt. But I mean, if that's how deep your running back room is, I think you're fine.
All right, Anthony, we're going to take 2 more questions so that Rich and I can get off for Thursday Night Football. Go ahead and pop it up. Gorlak the Destroyer again. Still love that name. Back to that other question. Should I trade Higgins, Khalil Herbert, Njoku, and the Jets defense? We got a defensive special teams in a trade for Tony Pollard and Austin Eckler. I would have to put someone at bench because I have Derrick Henry and I have the Chiefs defense.
Yeah, for Pollard and Eckler, yeah. You're trading Njoku, Herbert, like blah. So Higgins is the only thing I really like. A defense, I mean, just throw that in.
Yeah.
Pollard and Eckler, yeah, I pull the trigger on that. Absolutely.
Yeah, Pollard is RB4 right now. He finished his RB7 last year. Eckler has RB1 upside. I know he's injured, but he comes back. Yeah, no brainer. You make these deals to be league winners. Getting Tony Pollard and Austin Eckler could be a league winner. So yes, I would do that in a heartbeat. All right, last question, Anthony. Cue it up. Whenever you're able to. There we go. Malcolm Senegal, last question of the night between Breece Hall, DeAndre Swift, and Joshua Kelly. Who should I start? Other running back is Tony Pollard. So he's got Tony Pollard in the RB1 spot. Rich, your boy Breece Hall, DeAndre Swift, or Joshua Kelly?
It's got to be DeAndre Swift. I mean, especially if we're basing it off last week, Breece Hall had 4 touches. Joshua Kelly did nothing. DeAndre Swift all the way.
Right. If we're talking like dynasty or season long, I like Breece Hall.
Dynasty, it's Breece Hall.
For this week, DeAndre Swift is the bet you should go. You know, you want to see if he can capitalize and do again what he did last week. And Breece Hall, we know he's got the talent. We don't know if they're going to give him the ball. They should have, and they didn't. So DeAndre Swift is the safe play there. All right, guys, we are going to wrap up the show. Thanks for tuning in to the first Fantasy Q&A show. We'll be doing this every Thursday at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. It'll normally not be me. It'll be Rich Jodice, the Pro Football Demon, and Kevin Phillip Fox, the Buffalo Trill.
What is that?
Gentle, are we in like a
is Anthony actually playing the guitar now? Or
he felt inspired. Guys, if you want to compete against Rich and Kevin in a really, really simple fantasy tiers DFS, go to the URL you see on your screen, tinyurl.com/fantasyqa tiers, or just go to the link in the description. Got some slow motion head banging going on here. Next week, if your question didn't get answered and you want to make sure it gets answered, use the super chat feature on the Pro Football Demon YouTube channel. It's the only way to guarantee your question gets answered. Thanks, guys, for tuning in for more lives. Appreciate you. Appreciate everybody out there. Rich, any last words before we wrap up our first show?
Well, thank you guys so much for all the support. It really warms my heart. I love you all. And this is going to be a lot of fun, so check in with us. Hopefully we get Brian back for more of these, because
I will try to be
irreplaceable.
To be here when I can to keep these crazy guys under control. Make sure to check out Pro Football Demon, like and subscribe wherever you see him. If you don't already, check out Legit Football. We got our free daily newsletter at legitfootball.com/sign-up. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the game tonight, and we'll see you next Thursday.